to the patterns and also to the ICAP number. So we clearly state that ICAP is really part of our material also for training and also for advertisement. Also here, this is the second page of the flyer. We have the pattern on the left-hand side, the number, and then we describe the associated antigens and the disease association. And here we really directly connect to the ICAP. Also already mentioned from my previous speakers, the automated systems for RISI, and also here we try to stick to the ICAP. The system also identified mixed patterns. Also one point which is mentioned in the ICAP publication, that you should take care about mixed patterns and not only report the main pattern. Also, titer estimation is FDA approved with this system. Means one ICAP point is also dilute your positive samples and report a titer for each single pattern, which is also could be done by the system. We do counter staining. I don't want to go into detail here, but what I would like to point out is that these 7 patterns also belongs to these ICAPs. So we have the homogeneous AC1 pattern, we have a granular pattern, which is also part of the tree, AC2, 4, and 5. We have the nuclear dots, which is AC6 and 7, the centromeres AC3. Then we have a group of nucleolar patterns, which is 8, 9, and 10. Nuclear membrane is 11 and 12, and cytoplasmic is 15 to 23. So also here you see that a lot of patterns mentioned in the ICAP are already covered by the system. And this of course has a huge influence on our daily work. What is currently missing is pleomorphic and mitotic, but this is also something we are working on. So you see the different ICAP goals here. I just didn't put all, but just a few. So ensure that all patterns are reported, so nuclear, cytoplasmic, mitotic patterns. This could be done with the system. You shouldn't use HEP 2000. I think this was mentioned by Carlos. I didn't get your talk completely because it was in Portuguese, but I think you mentioned that. Identify mixed patterns on all ANA positive samples and titer or positive samples to the endpoint. So this is what ICAP formulated in the publication, and this is what the system can do. So there's no hidden information for the physician on these ANA samples if you use automated systems. And I think this is important because you all know if you have different technicians reading the slides, you always get slightly different results. And automated systems are one huge advantage to get more, to get a more homogeneous reading, a more standardized reading. What we also attach to this software is a pictorial atlas. So means we have here examples for all the different patterns. So this is enlarged. So this is a homogeneous pattern on HEP2 cells. We clearly state that this is AC1, and if you look it up into the software, you can click on AC1 and all homogeneous pattern will be listed, so that you also can double check with your patient sample how the pattern should look like and if it's similar. You also can add your own images, so if you're in a lab and you take your own pictures, you can put these tags like HEP cell, nucleolar pattern, the ICAP number, and the pattern description, and later on you can filter by these tags. And this is what you can, we have a couple of pictures already implemented, but you can implement also your own pictures. This is maybe also quite nice if you want to share the cutoff, so what is still positive, what is already negative. So this was also a discussion in the previous talks, what is the right cutoff. And here you have the possibility to put pictures which are near the cutoff to make it more easy for the technician to decide, to make a decision. So we have a lot, or ICAP has already resolved a lot of questions. So it really leads to a better comparability of different IFA manufacturers, but not only manufacturers, but also between the labs, because we are all talking about the same stuff now if we rely on ICAP. So ICAP also emphasizes the relevance of cytoplasmic and mitotic patterns, which is, in my eyes, pretty important, because there are many cytoplasmic patterns which have a clinical relevance, and we really should report that. And what is now still ongoing is that ICAP also advises the clinicians of the significance of the pattern. So what does it mean if it's homogeneous positive? Homogeneous maybe is a better example because everyone knows that it's related to SLE, but there are other patterns where maybe it's not that clear. And here also ICAP gives good advice, and it's an international advice. So it's not that the Brazilians talk different from the Germans and the Japanese, for example. I mentioned already the translation. That the translation is really important. So I mentioned the Japanese experience I had, and there are plenty of these things. So some call it speckled, some call it granular. What is nuclear dots? And now, because we have these still ongoing translation, but at least we have the most important languages done. Despite Chinese, I guess it's on the way. It's really an important topic or important issue that ICAP taking this task of the translation, and I know that's not easy. So what we as company did is we adapt the nomenclature of ICAP as mentioned. So you saw that our strategy was pretty much the same than the ICAP strategy. So for us, it's not really new. And I also guess for most of the labs, it's not really new. But now we really rely on the same, or are on the same basis. We apply the ICAP recommendations on our automated solutions. So I mentioned the Euro pattern system, which automatically reads the images from the HAP cells and give a result on that. And I also showed you some improved marketing material, which we also attach to ICAP now. But there are still some open questions. So one open question, or the most important maybe, is should cytoplasmic patterns reported as ANA? Because ANA means anti-nuclear antibodies, and cytoplasmic is not a nuclear pattern, right? So, it's not just a matter of if we want it or not, it's also a matter of reimbursement, because we could maybe rename ANA, but this is not that easy, because then you won't get reimbursed anymore, because if you call it not ANA, but anti-cellular antibodies, for example, then you are in trouble with reimbursement. So it's not really an easy task to do that. One other stuff which Jan Damaso also published is that some autoantigens or antibodies against nuclear antigens are classification criteria for several diseases. So one is autoimmune hepatitis, for example, and autoimmune hepatitis you want to distinguish from PBC. And the most dominant pattern in PBC is endomitochondria, which is a cytoplasmic pattern. So means if you call ANA positive, you get points on your autoimmune hepatitis list, which you don't want because it leads you in the wrong direction. On the other hand, also pretty specific patterns like nuclear membrane, nuclear dots, which are real ANAs, are specific for PBC. So we have this problem already. And I think it's not really a problem of the ICAP, it's mainly a problem of the classification criteria, because they are not detailed enough. They just say ANA positive means 2 points on the autoimmune hepatitis list, and if it's above a certain titer, it's even 3 points. But that doesn't help. So we have also to look into this classification criteria, and this is also a huge task, because it's not that easy to change that. Of course, there are also a lot of pros, because cytoplasmic patterns are really significant, mainly in myositis, so JO1, and nobody normally doubts that JO1 is an important pattern, but also others like mitochondria, SRP, PL7, PL12, TIM1 gamma, Me2, they are all have a pretty low prevalence, but normally you don't have double positive cases. So if they are positive, they are really highly specific, and you can get a better prevalence if you take all these different patterns into account. One open question is also the recommended cutoff. So when I got it right, the Brazilian consensus recommends 320. Is it true?
20?
320?
320.
Yeah. So ICAP recommends 1 to 160. The US still go with 1 in 40. Japan still goes with 1 in 40. So it's still an open question how to or what cutoff should be taken. And also in the previous talks today, there were many discussions about healthy, so how many percentage or what is the prevalence in healthy population. So it's not that easy. So what we recommend, so this is the 3.2-fold dilution scheme. So you have 10, 32, 100, 320, 1000, because then you are in the proper range, so which is between 100 and 320. So this is the interesting range for ANA. Here you have two dilutions which clearly can indicate if a sample is positive or negative. And we also, Luis Andrade showed it that the patients normally have a higher titer compared to the healthy controls or healthy blood donors. And also the pattern is important, because the speckled pattern, which is not coarse speckled but fine speckled, and in a low titer maybe it's not that significant than a homogeneous pattern, for example, or a centromere pattern. One discussion also is single well titer, because some people really estimate the titer from the initial screen. And here I have two examples where the sample looks pretty much the same in the 1 in 100 dilution, but if you titer it out in the 1 in 1000, you see that the first sample on the left-hand side is just weakly positive, so the end titer here is 1 in 1000, while on the right-hand side the sample is still strong positive in the 1 in 1000, means the end titer maybe is 10,000. So from one screen you can't judge the end titer. And that's why maybe two screening dilutions, depending also on your cohort, of course, may help you indirectly get to a finer. Advantage of two screening dilutions is also that you get aware of hidden patterns. So here I have two examples where you have ribosomes, which you see in the 1 in 100, but the nucleoli are pretty weak, so you may miss it. If you run the same sample in the 1 in 1000, the ribosomal pattern is already, or has disappeared already, but you see that the nucleoli are strongly positive. And this is also something you may miss if you just go with one dilution. On the right-hand side, we have the same with homogeneous and centromere. The centromere pattern clearly comes out in the 1 in 1000. This is not only true for ANA, but this is also true for other parameters. So if you look here at the basal membrane, in the 1 in 10 it's pretty weak, nearly negative. In the 1 in 100 it's pretty nicely positive. So it's not only true for ANA, it's a general decision making. So thank you for your attention. What I also would like to address here is we are currently in contact with Wilson. Wilson is taking care about all the images on the ICAP webpage, and of course we also would like to add more images so that also different companies are represented in the ICAP. So we sent all for each pattern we sent one image to Wilson, and it's currently in the voting system, I guess. So we will see. So this is also something which we really, from the industry point of view, would like to push forward, that more images got on the web page so that everybody get a representative picture of the pattern. And also what I would like to address shortly is sometimes you see that there's the first slide is always a conflict of interest. So I think the scientific community and the industry, they don't have a conflict of interest. Maybe there's a slight conflict, but in the end, we are all sitting in the same boat. and would like to provide proper ANA diagnostic, and not only ANA, but in general proper diagnostic. So this is also something what I would like to encourage the scientific community to get in closer contact with the industry, because, as mentioned, so we also can spread your information with our information material, with our software solutions, with our test instructions and all this kind of stuff. So thank you for your attention.